Welcome back to the Counterculture Podcast. This is episode number 4. I'm here with my husband, Grant.
What's up, y'all?
And today we're going to be talking about our story, so how we met, being long distance. So if you guys are interested, then definitely follow the podcast. We upload every single Monday at 6 a.m. and we post on YouTube and Spotify. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it.
Sounds great.
I will say we have this entire series on our couple's YouTube channel. We went through
True.
every single stage of life and every single stage of our relationship in depth. So we're going to kind of just be covering all of that here for our new viewers. But if you want a detailed story of every single stage of life, then go to our couple's channel. I'll have it linked down below. So I guess starting off, we can kind of go into where we were at in our different stages of life when we met.
Yeah. So summer of 2018, I was 18. I had just graduated high school that May, turned 18 in June. I went full-time into construction at my dad's construction company. There was an opportunity to travel for work through his company. I could stay local where we were at, or I could go back home to Alaska and work out there in different villages, building houses out there. So obviously, being a single 18-year-old guy, I'm like, well, yeah, I'm going to go live in the bush for a while and build houses. That sounds awesome. I spent all spring there, and then I came back for a friend's wedding in June, and then I went back to Alaska from early August through mid-October. Around the 16th, I flew back into town for my brother's wedding with full intentions of attending the wedding, doing all the things, and then flying straight back to Alaska to work or to live or something.
And clearly that didn't happen.
That did not happen. My life is infinitely better than it would have been.
You're so sweet. So obviously, he was 18. I was also 18 during that phase of life. I was pursuing nursing. So
Also
I was
2 weeks older than me.
What?
I said, she's also 2 weeks older than me.
I am 2 weeks older. I think they already know this, but he grew up in Alaska and then he moved to Virginia when he was 17, 18. And then he was going back to Alaska to continue working, kind of back and forth.
Yeah, I finished high school in Virginia.
Yeah.
But I had always lived in Alaska.
Yeah, so he was just kind of going back for work. But what you were saying is your plan was to kind of just go back there after the wedding and keep working?
Yeah, that was the plan.
Same thing for me. We were kind of doing the same things. We both graduated that year. So I graduated in May. Just all that kind of stuff, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And like I said, I was pursuing nursing. It was October 2018, and I was just starting nursing classes. I was working at the hospital as a CNA, just kind of doing all that. And one of my best friends was getting married, and she had asked me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding. So I remember it was just a normal day, October 19th. It was their rehearsal dinner, so we were kind of getting ready to do all of that. I was kind of packing up for the weekend. I was going to spend the night up there because it was a good hour or two away. I get to the church for the rehearsal. I'll let you take off.
Yeah, I saw her before she saw me, so I'll kind of tell this part. I pulled into the church driving my piece of junk, 2-wheel drive.
I don't remember what you drove.
1987 Jeep Comanche, about this much clear coat left on it. It was ugly, dude, ugly. So I pull up to the church driving that. My brother had asked me to be his best man, so I was excited about that. I'd been working on my speech for a while. Show up to the church for the rehearsal dinner. I pull up next to about 2 or 3 spaces from a blue BMW, and I look over, and it's just this vision. Just a vision. Prettiest woman I've ever seen in my entire life. She's my age. She's my type. My goodness. The Lord knew what he was doing. That's all I'm saying. So I was pretty much smitten from that point on.
Wait, what was I doing in the car?
You were just getting your purse or maybe a bag, and then you walked into the church.
That's
and I
so
was
sweet.
busy picking my jaw up off the floor.
So I didn't see him at this point.
You didn't,
but we were
no.
both in the church at this point.
I was a speck on the ground to you.
You're so cute.
Yeah, I followed along as close as I could without being weird.
So, I mean, the day just kind of went on. I didn't even see him at this point. I had not seen him. The first time I saw him was we were practicing the wedding, going down the aisle, and I was up on the stage already. So I was just looking at the back door. He was the best man, so he was walking in with his sister,
Yeah,
which
my
was
sister.
the maid of honor. That's the first time I ever laid eyes on him. He was walking down the aisle with his sister, just practicing, and I actually had a vision of him. And so I had always prayed that I would know who my husband was as soon as I saw him, not love at first sight, but more of just the Lord would let me know. And I had that moment there, which was so cool. So I had a vision of him walking down the aisle, and then instead of, like, his sister, it was me, and I was in a white dress. What was weird is that at this point, you were really like, you were a lot smaller, a lot younger, you had glasses,
Mhm.
you had really short hair,
Yeah.
but my vision was completely different, so it was and I almost couldn't make it out, like, I knew it was him, but he had longer hair, he did not have glasses, and he was a lot bigger and
Mhm.
obviously older. So I was like, "Is that him? Like, what is going on?" And I just had
That's
this
so
full
crazy.
vision. It's like I
The
blacked
detail.
out for, like, probably 30 seconds to a minute, and I was like, "That's my husband. Like, I'm gonna marry him."
That's crazy.
And so I was kind of just, like, freaking out. Like, I had not had that moment ever, but I just knew. I was like, I just laid eyes on my husband. Like, what in the world? Do I say something? Do I not?" So I
She immediately ran right up and said, "The Lord told me you're gonna be my husband."
no, it's funny because I never told him that until after
No,
we were married.
you never said a
Like, I
word.
never told him that. But, yeah, I had prayed for that for years. I'm like, I'm not gonna date until I know that this man is gonna be my husband, whatever." So I
So
hadn't
cool.
dated anybody, and I'd prayed for that moment just that the Lord would tell me, and he literally just spoke to me. He's like, "That's your husband." I didn't even know his name. I didn't know who he was. I'd never seen him before. I did decide that I was like, "I am not gonna play a part in this because I don't wanna make it happen. I'm not gonna talk to him, I'm not gonna go up to him, I'm not gonna." I was too nervous, first of all, but I was like, "I'm not gonna do anything."
That's so
So, I
crazy.
did not, like, pursue him at all. It was all you, and I needed that reassurance because I was like, "I just had this vision. We're gonna get married. I'm just gonna see how you if he was gonna initiate it or not."
That's
Because 'Cause
so
I'm like,
crazy. So, like, what was going through your mind when I would try to talk to you or just, like, ask
"Oh
questions?
my word." The first time you came up to me, I was like, "He's feeling it too, like, this is actually real." Like, I could tell you were, like, interested, and I was like, "This is how is this happening?"
Like,
Like,
first
and
of all,
then
how could you not be? But second of all, yeah, crazy.
you're so sweet. And the first thing that you said to me was at the rehearsal dinner.
Mhm. I just don't remember what it was.
I do.
Oh, no. Oh,
So
no.
the first thing, we were at the church, that all went well, I had my vision, I'm freaking out. So, like, he, went in his truck, whatever. I am just absolutely freaking out because I just met my husband. Like, I'm 18, just graduated. I'm like, "Oh, we're gonna get married." Like, I was like, "Well, I can't tell anyone, especially not you."
Did you tell
But
your mom?
no, I didn't tell my mom until after I got married.
Wow.
I didn't tell anyone. And it was a
That's
good
crazy. Yeah, we'll get
long
into
bit
that.
after we got married.
Yeah.
It's just my own personal little thing that I knew. So I was like, "Lord, like, what?" And so I'm like, "I gotta know this guy's name. I don't even know his name. I don't even know who he is." The very first thing we drive, it's a pretty long drive to the rehearsal dinner after, like, from the church. I drove with your sister
Mhm.
to the rehearsal dinner,
Did you
and
know she was my sister?
no.
Okay.
No, I did not, which she had been so nice to me that weekend. I was, like, the only bridesmaid that kinda just didn't know anyone.
Mhm.
So, like, I
True.
grew up with my best friend. She had moved away, and we had kinda, like, been doing our own things, like, growing up, so I didn't really know her circle at all.
Right.
His oldest sister had really just been nice to me, talked to me a lot, just kinda, like, included me and stuff because I didn't know anyone. So she had offered for me to ride with her, so I knew that it was the bride's sister-in-law. So I'm in the car with
Gotcha.
them, we're driving to the restaurant with another bridesmaid, and I do remember at this point, I did not know that you were
You're riding with the groom's sister, but you didn't
Yeah,
realize that the man you were interested in was the groom's brother.
right. Yeah, I
Okay,
had no clue, didn't know
go.
your name either.
Oh, but you
So
never said, like, "Now which one is the best man?"
no.
Or no,
No, I literally was like, "Lord, I'm not gonna push for any of this." Like,
that's
I was trying to
respectable.
figure it out, but I never asked any questions or anything. We get there and we go to sit down
Oh,
at
this is
the
a whole
table.
thing. This is a whole thing.
I knew he was interested at this point because he was so nervous. So I don't really remember being
So,
nervous. I was just like,
so
I'm in the
nervous.
same room with my future husband. Like, this is wild. So we're all like scooting in, and it's just like a wall and then this really
Right,
long table. So everyone's like scooting in. You can't
right.
choose where you're sitting. You're all just like scooting
And
in
it's,
one at
like,
a time.
tight, tight.
It's not like you got to skip a seat. Like, it was one and then the other one sat. Like, you
Right.
didn't get to choose who you sat next to. So I remember it was the bridesmaid and then his sister. And then she was like, "You can sit next to me." So I sat there. So he had sat down on the other end and left like a couple of chairs in
I
between
left I
us.
left one chair. I was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I wanna sit next to her, but I don't wanna be, like, in her back pocket." So, like,
So he like went out of his way to leave the extra chair.
also, I was 18 and I felt 15, and I just did not I was nervous.
But it was very obvious that he didn't want to sit next to me. Like, he was kind of nervous.
Not like I didn't want to, like,
Like,
Yeah.
You were too nervous.
Just nervous, I guess.
So no one had left a gap. Like, you don't get to do that. There's too many people to leave a gap. Like, you've got to scoot in, you know? So she like stands up. She's like, Grant, what are you doing? Like, scoot over. And he's
I went the other way.
he goes this way and scoots over. So now there's 2 chairs in between me.
Not one of my finest moments.
No, and she's like, Grant, this way. Like, come this way. And so then he's like, you looked at me and the first thing you said was, are you sure? Is that okay? And I was
Did I really?
yeah, I was like, that's fine. But you looked at me, you're like, are you sure? Is that okay? I was like, yeah, like, whatever. So then you sat like directly next to me.
They were just really tight chairs. I mean, like,
You know, the dinner was going on. We were totally nervous. We hadn't spoken to each other. I mean, basically, I was like this with the girls, and he's like this to the guys. Like, we were not
yeah.
talking. And I do remember somebody beside you asked for the sweet tea. And I mean, it's like like a, you know, like a pitcher of sweet tea that I would have to be like, oh, you know, like grabbing the whole thing and passing it down. Well, he literally like reaches over me and with one hand grabs the top of the sweet tea and just like sets it there. And I was like, oh my word. I was freaking out because his forearms were like huge. That's the very first thing I noticed, like about him was
Thank
his
you, baby.
forearm. I was like
That's
freaking
very
out. And you
nice.
were like, you had that rolled up sleeve. So I was like, oh my word. After
Too
that,
much, man.
the only thing that you said to me was, you looked at me and you were like, Is your name Courtney? Isn't that right?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's Courtney." And then you said, "My name's Grant." And I was like, "What?"
Oh,
Like, the
okay.
whole time I was like, "Oh, no." And so all the things that they had said about
Mhm.
you, I'm like, "He's not in high school. Like, this is the one that's graduated. He lives in Alaska." Like, all this the dots started, like, connecting, and I was
Yep.
like, "Okay, he's my age. Like, this is good."
Yeah.
And I was like, "That's Grant? Like, what?" I think that was it, and then you said one thing about my phone case. It was that pink one with the camo, remember?
Yes.
And you said, "Oh, I like your phone case." And
That's
I was like
cool. That's wild.
I was like, "Oh, thank you."
After the rehearsal dinner, we go our separate ways. You know, I'm driving home. She's driving, I think, to stay at some lake house with all the girls. And I was like, yeah, I want to pursue this girl because I said like 5 words in a row. I didn't stutter, and she didn't say that she had a boyfriend.
You're
So
so
I
cute.
think that's a good thing.
Okay, so you're at your brother-in-law's house after dinner, we had
Yep.
just met.
All the guys were doing stuff together. You know, we were all hanging out. But then after we went to bed, I'm like stalking my now sister-in-law, the bride, her Instagram. I'm just stalking her entire follow list, looking for Courtney. Where is Courtney? And she's not there. She just doesn't exist. She doesn't have an Instagram. What I found out later was that I had spelled Courtney with a C, which is how you spell your name, but your Instagram
My old personal was with a K.
is a K. And so I glanced over it. It didn't come up. So I ended up texting my now sister-in-law.
You texted her?
I sure did. I said, "Hey, can you send me your Instagram? Tell me about her. What do you know? All this kind of stuff." And she just responds with like 3 or 4 laughing faces. And she just said, "She's like my best friend from when we were little. She's amazing. She loves Jesus so much."
Aw, that's
And
so sweet.
I'm like, "Sweet. Sounds great." But she did send your Instagram.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, "Oh, that's why I didn't see her. It starts with a K."
Mhm.
And then I got on there. I don't know if I followed you or not. I probably didn't.
So I remember, yeah, I got in the car after the dinner and I could not stop thinking about him. I was like, "Oh my goodness." You know, everything was making sense now. So I knew his name was Grant and I'm just like, "Okay, it's not what I thought." And so his sister and the bridesmaid still were in the car. We're driving away and then I noticed you looked at me like when we were driving away and you like nodded like you were like saying bye or whatever.
Mm,
I just remember just thinking about you the entire night. I'm like, I just met my husband. Like, what do I do with this? You know what I mean?
mhm.
So we get to the little lake house, all the bridesmaids, everyone's like staying together. I do remember like the night before that, I was spending the night with the bride, and her mom came in and she was like, she said the groom's brother, he doesn't have a girlfriend and he loves Jesus and he's a hard worker and all this stuff. She's like, y'all would be really good together. And I was like, thank you. But I am not interested, like, that is not gonna happen, and they just started laughing, and then the bride's like, "Well, I could help you," like, all this stuff, and I was like, "I
That's
you
too
don't even
much.
understand how much I'm not interested, like, that's not the way I work," and then the next day, I had the vision, and it was you and all this stuff.
Wow.
That's pretty much it. Then we had the wedding, everything was normal, nothing happened, and then after the wedding
Mhm.
is when you came up to me and said Do you think that wedding was long?
Yeah, you sat on the front row and
I sat
everybody had
down.
filed out. And so I just kind of sat next to you because I wanted to say something to you. I didn't have anything to say.
I know, you just sat, like, this far apart from me,
Two seats.
and then there was a little boy that was talking to me. I don't remember who he was,
Hmm.
but I was like, "Oh, he's so cute." He's just this little boy, and he needed help with his shirt or something, so I was helping him with his shirt,
Oh,
and then you sat next to me, like, just this far apart and
mhm.
just was like and I was like, "Oh my word, he's right there," and I was like, "What is he gonna say?" And then you said, "Did you think that wedding was long?" And I was like, "Not really."
Talking to Women 101 coming up soon.
And then the only thing that I remembered was you were like, "It was for me, but I think it's because these suspenders are so tight." You remember saying that?
No, I
You were like,
don't.
"Man, they're so uncomfortable, like, they're so tight," and I was like, "Oh, really?" And that was kind of it.
Beauty is pain.
I was like and then I didn't know what to say, but I was like, "Oh, man." Oh, and then you said, "Are you going to the rehearsal? Are you going to the dinner?
Yeah.
The reception?"
Yep.
And I was like, "Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'll be there." Yeah, so anyways, we go to leave, I get in my car, whatever, and I did notice because I was watching you at this point, you were in the corner of the parking lot,
Mhm.
and you were waiting for me to leave. Because I noticed, like, I sat there for a really long time trying to get directions on my phone. I'm like, "He's not leaving." And I noticed all these cars were leaving, like, everybody. Eventually, it was just, like, 2 or 3 cars, and
Yeah.
we were 2 of them.
Yeah.
I was like, "I think he's waiting on me to, like, make sure I'm good." I mean, I noticed all those things.
Yeah.
Were you doing that?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
You're so sweet, baby.
Well, just trying to make sure you like get there okay.
I started moving and then he drove away, but I think you thought I was leaving. The bridesmaid was calling me over and she's like,
Mm.
"You can follow me." So I follow his sister and brother-in-law. Once she said I could follow her, like, I just kinda zoned out. I didn't really pay attention to where we were going. We ended up getting lost and being like, showing up probably like, it was like a good hour of driving. Like, I think the place was 40 minutes away,
Yeah, I think y'all were at least
and
20 minutes late.
I started paying attention when we were, like it had been like a 50-minute drive. I'm like, "I think we should have been there by now." We show up, and so we had missed the announcement, like,
Mm.
being announced in. I just walked in and, like, everyone was already in line for food, and I stood in line, and then I turn around and you're, like, right behind me. So I'm like, "Man, he's, like, everywhere." Like, you were right behind me. I was like, "Oh." The only thing you said to me then, like, that entire night, you're like, "Bet you'll never follow my sister again, will you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then that was it.
That's
And,
funny.
I
So,
remember staring at each other a lot.
oh, I was definitely taking peeks.
I mean, I was too.
Yeah.
I was just, like, staring at him, those
Yeah.
forearms.
And my brother, who I was the best man for him in his wedding, he was the best man for me in our wedding. He even noticed it at one point.
Yeah, he said in his speech at our wedding, he noticed me staring at you. I totally was. And I do remember one thing freaking out over. So my brother had just gone to college in August. And we were like best friends. We did everything together.
Mm.
And so he moved away and I hadn't seen him in those 2 or 3 months. And I remember that it was a huge deal that he was coming to that wedding because he'd been out of town. I hadn't seen him. As soon as I saw him, I was up by the front, like, on the bridesmaids table, whatever, the bridal party. And I remember seeing him walk in and I was like, freaking out. I'm like, "Dylan's here." He came up to me, like, right in front of everybody while we were all eating, gave me a big hug. I just remember thinking and he was all dressed up in a suit. I'm like,
Oh, I know what you're
"Oh,
saying.
no," and I saw you as soon as I stood up and gave him a hug, you, like, looked at me because I was like, "Oh, no, he's gonna think this is my boyfriend, like, no." So I, like, shoved him away a little bit. It was more dramatic in my head. And then still to this day, everyone talks about Grant's, like, iconic best man speech.
Mm.
So it was like it
That was fun.
definitely made an impression on my entire family and his entire family, like, the most amazing speech because it was so well said. The stories, he had the entire room laughing, all engaged, and I was just freaking out. I was like, "Okay, so what is he, like, a public speaker?" He's, all
Good
these things. I
grief.
was like
Like you said, at the reception, I said, like, I bet you'll never follow my sister again. But I don't remember talking to you.
yeah, that was it.
Then I got busy in cleanup.
Mhm.
I went and changed and got in like clean mode.
Oh my word, I do remember that. No, I remember that because he was, like, in his suspenders and stuff, which wasn't really my look. He came out in khakis, cowboy boots, and a flannel, which I say was red and white, and you say it's blue and white, it's like a
Yeah,
whole thing.
it was blue.
If one of his family members is watching this and has a picture, please send it to us because that would settle a huge debate for us.
Yes.
But the point is, I saw him come out in, like that was his outfit, just the whole manly the
Mm.
boots. I was like, "Whoa."
I got busy cleaning, and then I pretty much just looked up and you were gone.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, there goes my chance.
Yeah.
I didn't get her number.
I remember stalling trying to leave because I'm like, if I leave, it doesn't seem like a lot, but we were an hour away from each other. Like the ride back was
Mhm.
gonna be all night. I don't think we got home till like 1 a.m. And so I
It
was
was a late
like,
night.
I was stalling because I was like, well, he's busy cleaning, and then I'm like, I don't like I'll never see him again and all this stuff. Again, I'm not gonna like push anything. It's just it is what it is. And as soon as I was walking out, I was like, "Bye," everyone. His sister ran up to me and she was like, "Hey, let me get your number. Like, we need to like hang out." And I was like, "Thank you," because I also loved your sister. So I'm like,
Oh,
"Sweet,
she's great.
we'll get to hang out." But in the back of my mind, I was like, if this ever needs to happen, then she has my number. So that's more of what I was thinking about. Then I left thinking like, all right, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But I loved your sister, and I was like, we'll get to hang out. Well, anyways, we rode home, and I was up like the entire night. I remember I never used Snapchat ever. I didn't have a Facebook. All my social medias, I'm like, I gotta post. I've gotta like make a social media because so I made a Facebook that night and posted. I'm like, I have no pictures. I have no pictures of me or
That's
like
why it was like 3 senior pictures.
I'm like, I get the only pictures I have are my senior pictures. I
Yeah.
just gotten them taken. So I was like, all right, I'm just gonna like post that and hopefully he can find me and we can follow each other or something. So I made a Facebook, which I'm like, I hate Facebook. Started back my Snapchat, like just I'm like, all right, what's my name? Like all this stuff. Life goes on. I go back to work, whatever, the week goes on, and I get a message from his sister and she invited me to Scaremare. And this
Yeah.
was just gonna be like a week after the wedding. It was
Mhm.
literally the Saturday after the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is crazy. So I was like, I hope he's there, but if not, again, we'll just hang out and it'll be fun. So I was like, absolutely. Leading up to that week, I had said yes. This was like a Wednesday. I went to work on like Thursday or Friday, and my best friend was working. We worked at the same place. And she was like, oh, show me some pictures of the wedding you were just at. It's the first time we had seen each other.
Oh,
So I didn't take any pictures. So I went and just found some on Facebook from the bride, and she's scrolling through the pictures, and there's a picture of all of the groomsmen. There was a big bridal party, like 10 people. She's flipping through the pictures, and I'm, like, sweating because I don't know, I think I just can't lie, and I'm so, like, and we weren't even talking.
yeah. I
He didn't
didn't
even have my
have
number.
didn't have her number.
I mean, I
Nothing.
barely knew his name, but I thought you could just see it through my face, like, "Oh, I have a crush." I'd never had a crush before.
Mm.
Anyway, she's scrolling through and she's like she comes to the groomsmen picture and she was like, "Oh my word." Oh, and I was like, "What?" Like, did I write on it like a heart or something? I don't know. And she's like, "This one." And she like points at Grant. She's
What
like,
world?
"This one right here. Who is he?" And I was like, I don't know. What do you mean? Who is he? Like, he's a groomsman." She was like, "No, no, no. This one here." She was like, "You like him, don't you?" And I was like,
Dude.
"No." And she was like, "You like him and you're gonna marry him." And like
Yes, ma'am.
and then I just ran out the door and, like, cause someone was at the door and whatever, and I was like, "What in the world?" Like, I thought this was a thing between us, you know?
Yeah, seriously.
And, no, so I
Was
went back
our
in the
secret and
kitchen.
you go telling everybody
Right,
else?
I'm like, "How is she?" So that was, like, Friday. The next day is Scare I'm working again, we're both working, and I remember I had to, like, get ready at work because it was a really long drive, and I just remember going in the bathroom and, like, fixing my hair. I never did that, I guess, I don't know, because my friend, the same one, she's like, "Where are you going? Like, why are you getting ready? Like, why are you caring so much about all this stuff?" Because I think I had asked her one question, like, "Which flannel?" Like, that was it. She was like, "You've never asked me that. Like, why do you care?" And I was like, "I don't just whatever." And then immediately she's like, and I was like, "What?" And she was
My
like, "That
goodness.
boy is gonna be there, isn't he?" I was like, No. Why would I?" She's like, "You're going to meet with that boy." And I was like, "I literally do not know if he's gonna
As
be
if
there."
it's some illegal midnight rendezvous.
Well, I just never had liked anyone, so it
Right.
was a really big deal for us. So anyways, I'm, like, getting ready, freaking out because now, like, I'm see-through. I'm like, "Great, everyone's gonna know I have this huge crush," you know?
Well, I didn't.
I pull in, and I don't see him anywhere, and I'm like, "Man, like, I really wanted to see you." And I'm just kinda, like, looking around, you're not there. I'm seeing everyone. Everyone's in the parking lot getting ready to ride
Mhm.
in the van together, and I was like,
Yeah, it was like a
"Man."
youth group trip.
Yeah. And I was like, "Well, that's alright." Like, at least I'm gonna hang out with his sister because we have a lot of fun together. I was like, "Okay." As soon as I went to get out, you pulled up right next to me, and you were driving with your sister. So, anyways, I watched him get out of the vehicle. I was like, "Oh my word, you're wearing this black jacket, jeans, like the brown boots." I was like,
Mhm.
"And you were so tall." I don't know what it was, but, like, had never been that close to you, but I remember walking in the church, and you were right there by the door, and
Yeah,
you're
I
like, "Oh,
opened the door
hey."
for you.
He opened the door for me, he's like, "Oh, hey," and it was a little bit awkward at first
Mhm.
because we didn't know what to say because it was kinda like he was the only one that I'd ever even seen before.
Right.
I didn't realize that his sister was, like, the young adult leader, and so she was in the van with all of the teenagers.
Yeah, it was like
So
the youth
I
group.
didn't know anyone, and she was very busy, so I was like, "Oh, no." Like, he's the only one that I actually somewhat even have
But
seen
I
before.
but what you didn't know is that I had asked her to invite you.
Right, yeah, I didn't know that.
I was like, "You got her number, didn't you?" "Well, yeah, I didn't, so invite her to Scare Mare or something. Just something, and then I'll take it from there."
Yeah.
That kind of a thing.
So I was really nervous because I thought I was gonna be with his sister and then just him, and I was like and we had, like, a small conversation, and then we went out to get in the van. I saw you out of my peripheral vision, like, you were walking this way, but then I went this way, and then you quick, like, turned and walked behind me,
Mhm.
and I was like, "Oh, he's" because I didn't wanna, like, go where you were. I wanted it to be like, if you were interested, you would go with me. So I
Mhm.
kind of purposefully started going the other van because I just didn't wanna, like,
Right.
whatever. I also wanted to go where his sister was. So I sit in the van and then you were like right behind me and sat directly beside me.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay. And then we rode together. It was a long trip and we were just talking. It was pretty normal, but I remember that was like our actual first
Mhm.
conversation. It was like an hour drive.
I got your Snapchat at the end of the night after Scare Mare on the way back.
His sister was totally like, "Let's play a game." Like, what was the game? Just get to know you better. It was like answering questions and they
Right.
were all at me, aimed at me. Like, "What do you like to do in your free time?" Or like, "What do you 3 words to describe yourself?" That was one.
Yeah, and you said spontaneous. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, we get to Scaramare and it was totally just me and him the entire night. His sister said, "Oh, I like your outfit. Like, it's so fall." And you were like, "Yeah, I really like your outfit." And I was like, "Oh my word, thank you."
Mhm.
We went to McDonald's afterwards and you had, like, picked up my tray, like, little things like that. He always was getting the door for me, and it was just very obvious that, like, you were pursuing me, and I
Mhm.
was just, like, freaking out. I'm like, "I don't know what to do."
I got your Snapchat at the end of the night,
Yeah, and I
and
couldn't
then
remember my name, and you thought I was, like, not wanting to give it to you because I gave you the wrong name. You're like, "That's nothing's coming up," and I was like, "Oh my word, I'm so sorry." And you're like, "You don't know
it's
your Snapchat name?"
funny.
And I was like, "I really don't." I had just made this
Right, 'cause you made it, like, the night
I
before.
made it the week before, and I was like I told you it was, like, the Court 17 or whatever.
Mhm.
You're like, "It's okay." And I was like, "No, I wanna give it to you, I genuinely don't remember the name." And so I had to, like, go on my Snapchat and, like, try to find it. I had never, like, used it that much. As soon as I saw my mom that night, and she was like, "I have never seen you this happy, like, you are smiling so much," and she still says to this day, like, "I've never seen you happier." She was like, "You must have had a lot of fun, like, what" and I was like, "Eh, whatever." But, like, I just hung out with my husband, so
That's wild.
and then a few days went by. I remember I was just down in my room one day, and then I got a Snapchat from Grant Bryan,
Mhm.
and I looked at it, and I was like, "It's happening."
A buddy of mine and I were out deer hunting, and we were kind of in between. So, like, normally when you're deer hunting, you hunt the morning, and you can come in for lunch because it's the hottest part of the day. You go back out to the deer stand like 2:30ish, maybe 3 o'clock. We are kind of in that little interim in between the two sits, and we were talking, and I was kind of telling him like, there's this girl I met her at the wedding. And she's really, really pretty, and she's nice and perfect. And he's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you haven't messaged her yet? You got her Snapchat like 3 days ago, and you haven't messaged her yet. I'm like, no, I don't really have anything great to say. I'm kind of waiting for a good opportunity. He's like, your opportunity is now, or whatever
Aw.
he said. Like, I don't think he said that word for word, but that's kind of how it went. He's like, you need to message her, dude. And so I did. And it was very random.
The most random first text.
It was like I asked her. Because we were watching a show.
Yeah, the first message was, "Have you seen this show?" or something, and I was like, "That's not what I expected it to be, but hey, it was a message." And I
Yeah,
was like, "Nope."
meager beginnings. But I mean, from then it was like we were messaging all day long.
It was so sweet just how you, like, handled the whole relationship. We were so young. We had just turned 18.
Right,
We weren't even, like, about to be 19, like, we had just turned 18
right.
so young, and
But still technically adults.
right. It was so cool how you handled it because it was quick too, it wasn't like we were in the talking stage for 6 months, you know? It was
Okay.
literally like you asked me for my Snapchat on Scaremare a week after the wedding. 3 days later, you messaged me. You said, "Hey, can I call you tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah." But, you didn't have my number. So I was
Mhm.
like, I guess. So I sent him my number on Snapchat, and you were like, "I just have something to ask you," and I was like, "Well, I'll be at work." But I just loved how it was important enough that he wasn't gonna, like, Snapchat me like, "Hey, you wanna go out?" He initiated a phone call, and obviously we were, like, an hour away, so we weren't gonna, like, meet if he didn't ask me. So, I was at work, and I told my boss, I was like, "I'm gonna go up to the office and take a phone call real quick." And I went up there because you were like, "Just call me whenever you're on a break. Call
Mhm.
me when it's good for you." I was thinking about it all day. So I went up there real quick, and I called you, and you're like, "Oh, hey."
Dude, I was so nervous.
And I was like, you said, "Hey, this is Grant Bryan." And I was like, "Hey, this is Courtney." And you were like, "Oh, hey. I just wanted to call and see if you said something like, "I'm gonna be eating dinner tomorrow. I wanted to see if you wanted to go out with me and eat,"
Yeah,
or
like I'm
something.
planning on eating dinner tomorrow,
That's what you said or
as if I
something.
don't eat dinner every day.
Right.
Like, I normally don't do this, but I'll make a special occasion for
Right.
you.
Right. And I was like, "I would love to." And you said, "What day would work best for you?" I was like, "Probably Saturdays." And you were like, "Does tomorrow work?" And I was like, "Yeah." And you're like, "Sweet. How about like 6:30 and we'll meet at Carrabba's,"
Right.
which also was a plug because his sister had asked me at Scaremare, "What's your favorite restaurant?" And I was like, "I don't know, Carrabba's." So it was like
Mhm.
he was listening, and he's like, can we go to Carrabba's?" And I was like, "Sure." That's a date. That's
That's the
definitely a
date.
date. Like this is
It's a
no
date.
longer. And my parents still didn't even know that we were talking or anything. And I was
Right.
like, "I have a date." And I've never gone on a date. So I was like, "Okay, here we go." So I came home from work, and as soon as I walked in the door, I sat down. I was like, "Mom, don't forget." I was like, "I have a date tomorrow." She was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Don't ask me any questions. Just, let me handle this or whatever."
Ask me
She's
no
like,
questions, I'll tell you no
"Yeah."
lies.
She just fully trusted me that I was like, "I have a date, whatever." And she was like, "Okay." And then I was like, "Now I have to tell my dad." I was like,
Oh, this is so
how's
funny.
that gonna go?" And so he was downstairs working out, and I was like, now's the best time as any." So I go downstairs. I was like, "Hey, dad, I just gotta tell you something." And we don't really talk seriously like that. So he like, "What is it, baby girl?" Like freaking
Mhm.
out. I was like, "It's not a big deal. I have a date tomorrow, and I just wanted to let you know." And he just looked at me. He was like, "Oh, no, no, no." And he was like, "Baby girl," he's all he's like, "Baby girl, you're just lonely because Dylan left for college and he's your best friend and you're just, you just go to school. You keep doing your nursing degree. You stay here with dad and you work and you got everything you need here." And he said, "If you're lonely, we'll get you a friend," or whatever he said.
We'll buy you a dog.
Right. He said, "You've got your friends and Dylan will come home to visit. You don't have to go get a boyfriend." And I was like, "I appreciate that, dad. I just, I've really waited and not I've waited for the right one and, he's the right one." And then we went into detail about who he was and he thought it was someone else from the wedding and was very concerned. Did you tell anyone you were going?
Just my sister. She was kind of my wingman through the whole thing.
Mhm.
We were like really close then. Also, she helped me set the whole thing up. She got her number, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I was talking to her about it. I
Yeah.
don't remember mentioning it to my parents. I may have, just like, hey, I've got a date.
They didn't give you any kind of.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I really can't remember, you
It
know?
was a
But I
really.
didn't go on dates often. So I think if I would have said that, they'd have been like, oh, yeah, who? Like, what's the
Yeah.
deal? So I don't think I said anything.
'Cause he had never had, like, a girlfriend, like, a
Right. Right.
relationship.
I had talked and had
Yeah.
little things, never an official relationship.
Yeah.
So I got ready that night and we were going to meet there because we lived like just a little under an hour apart. And this was the first time we were going to like just a bona fide actual date. And so I wanted to give her an easy out. Normally I would want to drive and pick her up. There were two reasons I didn't. A, I wanted to give her an easy out. If things didn't go well, she doesn't have to drive home with me. And B, I was in my old beat up two wheel drive Jeep pickup still, and I was kind of embarrassed by it, to be honest. I mean, it was just a piece of junk. I guess she said that she liked it, but
I just as long as it was a truck,
I
I
didn't
was,
like
like,
it.
so excited.
Yeah, so I'll put a picture of it like right here because it's just a beat up old truck.
But I didn't care about any of that, like, money, things. I was just so excited. And I remember walking in, and he was there, like, 20 minutes early too, which was crazy. I
Hmm.
had gotten there pretty early. I thought I was there before you. I texted you, like, "I just got here." And you're like, "Oh, I'm inside." Like, I was like, "What? He's so early?"
Hmm.
And I walked in, and he, like, held the door open
Yeah, I
for
was waiting
me.
at the door for you.
And again, you were so tall, and I
Which,
was like,
looking back, I wish I would have come out and met you at the car.
"Mhm."
But, hindsight's 2020.
No, I was just so excited, and it was a great date. We stayed until the place closed,
Yeah.
talked about
Like, the first
everything.
5 or 6 dates we went on, we closed every place out.
Yeah. You were just so sweet and obviously paid for the meal, held the door open for me and all that kinda stuff. And after that, we only went on
2 more dates.
2 more dates. That's wild.
3 dates total on the end of the 3rd date. That was actually we'll skip the 2nd date, it was a good date, we went and had ice cream and sat in the place till, like, 11 o'clock.
Mhm.
The 3rd date, we were gonna go to a little zoo, and it was, like, really bad weather, and so it was, like, the zoo was a total bust. We walked around, we were the only ones there. It was honestly really fun, but it was cold. All the animals were, like, in their shelters,
We didn't care though, we were just there to see each other.
but after the zoo, like, we got done with the zoo, it was, like, 2:30, and I'm just like, "Do you wanna keep hanging out?" I mean
It was so obvious that we just looked around the gift shop for, like, 20 minutes,
Right,
and we were like it was so obvious that we both wanted to, like, do something else, but
right,
neither one of us wanted to be like, "Do you
mhm.
still wanna hang out with me?" You asked me like, "You wanna go to the mall?"
Right,
I
yeah,
was
so I'm like, "Oh, let's go to the little puppy store in the mall."
yeah,
That's perfect. We can hold some puppies
and I
or
was
we can
like,
just keep
"Yes,
hanging out,
he still wants to hang out."
Mhm.
And, I had taken that Saturday off, and I think you did too, so I did not wanna go home at 2:30. I was like, "I might as well just go back to work."
Right.
So we were both just like and then so we went to the mall, and I remember running into my cousin, who I had just told I wasn't dating. She was like, "Who's this?" I was like, "I don't know." Like, we're on a date. I don't know
Yeah, yeah.
how to explain it. I was like, "Oh, this is Grant," and then that was kind of it. I was like, "Oh my word." So, we saw a lot of people that
That's
we
wild.
knew.
I don't think we've gone well, we have by now a couple times, but, like, through our dating, we did not go to the mall one time and not see somebody she was related to or knew. It's insane.
Yeah, it was a lot, like, every time.
So we went to the mall, we were there for hours, went through every store,
We
and
still
then
didn't wanna go
I
home.
was like, "Well, hey, can I buy you dinner?" It's like, "It's 6 o'clock." So we went to a steakhouse, we got dinner, we closed that place out, it was like 10:30. They closed, and, like,
Mhm.
we're the last ones leaving. At some point during that conversation at the steakhouse, I told her, I was like, "I'm really interested in continuing this relationship. If you're interested as well, I'd love to get your dad's number so I can call him and ask for his permission,
It
and then
was
maybe we
so
can
sweet.
plan a time where I can meet your family?"
I just think it was handled so well because he's like, "I have a question for you. I'm sure you're expecting it." And I was like, "I guess so, yeah,
"Will
go
you
ahead."
marry me?"
Right? I would've said, "Yes."
It's wild.
"What's your middle name first?"
Yeah, yeah. Wait, what's your middle name again?
And I would've said,
3
"Yes."
dates in.
And then I remember like, oh my I was freaking out,
Mhm.
and I was like, I was like, "I would love that, and I like you too." And I've never said that, so I was like, "Oh my goodness, like, I like a boy." So I was like, "I like you too, and I would love for you to, you know, contact my dad like that." I've never even thought to do that. It was so honoring to my dad that I was like, "That's just something that's amazing." And so I was
Thank
like,
you, baby.
"Absolutely." And then and you were like, "Cool." And then I gave you my dad's number. You're like, "Are you ready?" I was like, "Yeah." Like, "That's it." And so we got up, and as we were walking out, you asked me, you were like, "Is it okay if I hold your hand?" And I was like, "Sure." So you grabbed my hand, and I followed you out.
In my mind, we weren't officially dating. We were dating,
Mhm.
but we weren't official because I hadn't asked your dad yet.
Yeah, that's true. It
I
was
was
the
gonna
perfect
I
way.
wanted to ask your dad, and then I was gonna ask you just to literally be my girlfriend,
Yeah.
which is what I did, and that in
Yeah.
my mind, obviously we were dating, but we're not official till you have dad's permission,
Yeah.
and
I love
I've
that.
asked you to be my girlfriend.
I just thought it was so honoring to my dad because I still lived at home. It was still, I was 18. And so it was just very honoring and it really just felt like official. Like we're doing this the right way. A few days later, you decided to call my dad. You would set up a time with
Yep,
him.
Sunday
And
afternoon.
I was so nervous. That was probably one of the most nerve-wracking times of my life.
Yeah.
My dad's a jokester, he's just crazy
Yeah, you had
and
texted me, you're like, "Just don't take
oh
anything he says
I was like,
seriously."
I don't think my dad knew how serious I was. Like,
You
this
thought it
is
was like a
my
fling.
husband. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I knew. And so I was like, this is not a crush. This is not a little date that I'm going on because I'm bored. Please don't embarrass me?
Mm,
And so I had told him all these things, and my dad was like, "You're too stressed about this. Like, I'm not going to do anything crazy." And I remember when my oldest brother was home, and I was like, "Clayton, will you please just talk to dad?" Like, he's like, "I feel bad for you." Like, he's like, "I am so glad I don't have, it's going to be the other way for me. You're stressing me out. Like, please go talk to dad and just really try to be serious with him and let him know how serious I am. Like,
mm.
this is not a joke to me." He's like, I'll go talk to him. I'll see what I can do." So he goes out there and I'm staring at him through the window and dad's going, all this stuff and, like, not concerned at all.
Oh,
You had already called him and he didn't
I
answer.
called him. He
And I
didn't
was like,
answer.
"Don't call me." Like, he's mowing the grass. He's totally distracted.
I said probably something like, "Hello, sir. My name is Grant Bryan. I'm the one calling about your daughter, Courtney. Uh, sorry I couldn't reach you. I'm just gonna let you call back whenever is best for you.
Yeah.
Or I can call you again tonight, this afternoon or something like that."
Yeah. He's continuing mowing the grass, and it was, like, 5 minutes later, and he stops in the middle of the yard and starts getting on his phone. I'm like, "No, he's not even paying attention right now." And then a few minutes goes by, and he just hangs up his phone, just goes back to mowing the grass.
Yeah, so I just, I was waiting for the phone call, and I was at dinner with a couple of friends of mine. It was Sunday afternoon, so I was eating lunch at a friend's house, and I had told him I was expecting a phone call, and we were talking about it. I'm like, "Yeah, this is, my soon-to-be girlfriend's dad, hopefully, all that kind of stuff." And I went aside to take the phone call. I was like, "Oh, this is her dad calling. I got to run over here and take a phone call." And they were giving me a hard time. They were both married. So I run over to take the phone call, and I'm all nervous. I said, "Good afternoon, sir. How are you?" He said, "I'm just fine. How are you?" And I said, I'm good. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Grant Bryan. I'm calling because I'm interested in your daughter, and I was curious if you'd be all right with me dating her." There's a little pause, and you could almost hear him smile. But at the time, I'm just terrified, because all you ever hear about your girlfriend's dad is he's just, the Punisher, all that kind of stuff, get you in trouble. And so I'm terrified. And there's just this pause, and then he just goes, "Well, how much money do you have?" And
Oh
I'm like,
my word.
I thought he was dead serious. I'm like, uh, um, not enough. How much do I need? How much do you need? Like, do you want
Oh,
bank statements? Do you take
oh,
Visa? Like, I'm
you
gonna
take Visa?
like got to do whatever I got to do. But then he just busts out laughing. He said, "I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding." I think he may have even said something like, "She told me not to give you too hard of a time," or something like that.
Mhm.
He said, "I think that's just fine. You just take real good care of her. We'd love to meet you. So next time y'all are getting together, make sure it's over here so we can meet you. And then y'all can just come in and we can meet you and talk. And then y'all can go out. That way you don't have to be here the whole night and all that kind of stuff." Just
Aw.
really considerate, just
Mhm.
super nice. He said, "Just take real good care of her. We'll look forward to meeting you soon." I said, "That sounds great. Thank you very much, sir."
Aw.
And then it was the next date. We were going out to
Mhm.
have coffee with your friend and her boyfriend.
Mhm.
And
Well, yeah, but
so
he came inside and I was like, "Dad, how'd it go?" He said, "Well, I asked him how much money he had, but he didn't answer me." And I was like, "Oh, that's funny." And like I totally thought he was kidding. I was like, "Right." He was like, "No, I asked him." And I just knew he was still kidding. I'm like, "There's no way he asked him that." I was like, "Whatever." And then Clayton's like, "I think he really did." I was like, "There's no way."
oh my
And I
goodness.
remember texting Grant. I was like, "How did that go?" And you're like, "It was fine. He asked me how much money." I was like, "You've got to be kidding me." I said, "Dad." He said, "Well, I didn't lie to you." And I was like,
Yeah.
freaking out. I'm like, "I'm so sorry, like, money does not matter to me," like, trying to let you know that but it was funny. The next date we had, you came over and
Mhm.
I just wanna throw it in there, I teased my mom
Oh,
about
that's
it.
so funny. Yeah, you
My
gotta
mom
tell
was
her.
like, "What does he look like?" Like, cause she had no clue who he was. And I was like, "Well, he's short, so he's, like, a little bit taller than me, just by, like, a hair. So he's kinda short, and he's a little bit overweight, just, like, a little bit, and then he kinda has, like, light colored hair, like, blondish." And she was like, "Oh, okay."
Just being
And
so nice. Your mom is a saint.
I know, she's like,
Oh my
"Okay, well,
goodness.
I can't wait to meet him and stuff." I was like, "Yeah, he kinda dresses, like, kinda hipster in a way, just like, yeah,
Really?
just
You
totally
went the whole
opposite."
9
And
yards.
she was like, "Interesting, okay." And I was like, "Yeah, he has really, like, trendy style, like, it's kinda like hipster." And yeah, so he had walked and he was wearing his jeans and boots and, like, this nice, like, black jacket,
Mhm.
and he walked in, obviously, he's so tall, and
5'11". Just she's 5'2", so I
no,
feel
like, you're
tall,
taller
and
than
I'm
me,
wearing
6
heels,
foot.
so
You're like 6 foot with when you're wearing your boots,
I
and
guess
I'm
I'd be like 6
5'2".
foot and a half inch.
I'm literally like, my mom's shorter than me, she's 5 foot, so you're like a foot taller. She had walked down the steps at that point, or she was standing on the steps, and he walked in and he's like, "Hi, my name's Grant Bryan, it's good to meet you," and, he had given me a hug, and my mom's like, "Oh," like, she was just totally stunned, and she's like, I'm sorry, I think I said something like, "I had described you not what you were," or something
That's
to my
so
mom,
funny.
and you're like, "Okay," like, you
Yeah,
probably thought it was so
I didn't
weird.
catch it at the time.
I just thought and she looked at me when you were walking up the steps, and she was like, you know, all this
So
stuff. She's like,
dumb.
"He's so handsome," just freaking out. I was like, "I know." So then we go upstairs and we talked for a
Thank you.
little bit. You met my
Mhm.
brothers.
Yeah, that was a fun date.
Yeah. And then we had one other date at the Christmas parade, and we had walked around and all that stuff.
Fifth date,
Fifth
December
date,
7th.
December 7th, and then you officially asked me to be your girlfriend that day.
Mhm.
So we dated for like a month.
Yeah,
then
and
we
your
were dating.
coworker saw us there before I asked you,
Oh,
or
that's
just right
right.
after. It was right after
So
because
the
you actually
day
did introduce me as your boyfriend.
so the day before, my coworker, another one, had asked me like, "Are you dating anyone? Are you seeing anyone?" We'd been talking for like a month, so I
Mhm.
said no because I didn't have a boyfriend.
Right, not
And
official yet.
yeah, she's like, "So you don't have a boyfriend?" And I was like, "No." Whatever. And then the next day we see her at the parade and we're holding hands. And you had just asked me
Mhm.
like to be
Yeah, like
girlfriend
10
boyfriend.
minutes ago.
Yeah, and we ran into her and her boyfriend. And she was like, "Oh, hey, who was this?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "This is my boyfriend." And she was like, because I didn't know because I didn't want to make you, I didn't want to
Right,
say like, "This is just Grant," like you were my
right,
boyfriend.
right.
So I had to say it.
Mhm.
But and I had just told her no the night before. So I was like, "This is my boyfriend." And she was like, "Really?" And I was like, "As of like 5 minutes ago."
Just
Like,
found him today, did you? Like,
right. And I was like, just, 5 minutes ago. It was just
I think I
funny.
remember you saying, like, "I'll explain later," or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, like,
"I'll
and
tell you
then you
later."
told me, like, she had asked me, maybe you told me, like, she'd asked me
Yeah,
yesterday and I,
yeah.
because we weren't official yet. I don't remember, but I feel like I remember you saying, like, "I'll explain everything later."
I think I did say that, and she was like, "Yeah, I'll be waiting," or something. I was
Right,
like,
yeah.
"Yeah."
Which she thought it was hilarious, you could tell,
Yeah,
and she was laughing and smiling, but she was like, "Who is this?" You know?
yeah. But yeah, that was December 7th, and the rest is history.
Yeah, we dated. Some of it was long distance,
Yeah.
and then about 2.5 years later, we got married.
But that's how we met, and then the rest is history.
Mhm.
So,
I think that's all we got today, y'all. Thank you so much for watching this episode of the Counterculture Podcast. Be on the lookout for more content from us every Monday morning at 6 a.m., and we'll see y'all on the next one.
bye, guys.